Hi, this is Sean, and in this lesson I'd like to show you some major 6 diminished movement applications. I would just like to mention that I learned these principles from the great bebop pianist Dr. Barry Harris. I have my own way to show them to students now, which I'd like to share with you. Now, I showed you in another lesson, if you haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the description. I showed you how to form a major 6 diminished scale of chords, which was like this. C6 and D diminished alternating to make a scale of chords. We're going to see a little bit of application of that in C, and I will also give you an idea how we use that on minors and some other areas where you would need to know the scales to get through a few bars of a tune. Smile is a really good example. So smile is full of movement if you know how to find it. So C6, the first chord is C6. There are two things, if you're not sure how to play movement, there are two things that will really help you. Number one is looking for single steps in the scale melody. So this is perfect. Lots of single steps. In fact, I think most of the tune is all single steps. Little phrases in single steps, sometimes longer phrases in single steps. Those things are perfect for movement because you can grab that C major 6 diminished scale. Let's just look at a right hand and go up the scale. Now we're doing it in a fairly basic way at the moment, just straight through the scale up and down. And there's nothing wrong with that, but later on there are also more sophisticated ways of just moving a couple of notes or taking a note and putting it in another hand. So you get these sorts of things. So there are many different ways, but at the moment I just want to show you some simple ways of starting to move. Let's say you wanted to play the first few bars of that tune. Here's a pattern. Let's have the left hand taking the bottom and top of C6. So that's C and A, the bottom of the chord and the top of the chord, and then step down the scale and then up the scale. Just like that, and stepping back up the scale. Now watch what happens if you put the melody line at the top, harmonizing with chords from the major 6 diminished scale. C6, D diminished, C6, D diminished, C6, D diminished, C6, all in different inversions, right, through the scale. You really do need to check out the video that shows you how to form the scale if you're not sure. So put it all together. And you've got a movement. That's it. Now, this scale works through this whole song in various ways, but it will go beyond the scope of this lesson. That's an example of how you might move on a major chord. Okay. There are lots of examples of where you move on a minor chord as well, a minor 7th chord, still using this same scale. So imagine that we spoke in another lesson, the introductory lesson, about how C6 is also a minor 7. Yep, so you get the same notes. And this means that C6, the movements on that C major 6 diminished, can also work just fine on a minor 7. Regardless of the key. That A minor 7 could be in a 2, in the role of a 2 chord, for example on a 2-5 in the key of G. So let's in fact use almost the same thing, but instead of starting my left hand here, I'm going to start here to make it feel more like A minor 7, and I'm still going to do the same thing, bottom top, step, just that much of it this time, okay, like that. And in the right hand I'm still going to have the same stuff I had before, so, and we've got more of an A minor 7 thing now. Here we go. And then to a D7. Don't worry about the kind of D7, any kind of D7 you like for the moment, because we're discussing something else. You know, maybe I'll do some other lessons on D7 voicings. But this is to show you that 2-5 in G can also have those C major 6 diminished movements because the 2 chord is A minor 7, that is the same as C6. And if you just have, see, we had single step scale movement when we had the Smile tune. I said I'd show you some things to look for. That's one thing to look for. The other thing to look for is nothing. So if you've just got pure space, then you can move. So let's say you have a turnaround in the key of G. Let's say that you're getting to the end of a tune and you get a 1-6-2-5. There's your A minor 7. Or let's do the same one we had again before. So if you've got the room to do it, because it's the turnaround at the end, you know, turnaround is that little chord progression that gives you some space at the end and takes you back to the beginning of a section or of a whole tune. Those are good places for them too. There are more sophisticated ways to move as well, but for now, just start to play around with those things in your progressions and make the links between major 6s and minor 7s. And in the next lesson, I'm going to show you lots of examples of doing exactly that. Thanks a lot for watching.